Welcome to Every Night is Game Night. For 100 episodes, we have been proud to share our love of strategy games and thematic games, Euros and co-ops, games for many and especially games for one. Thank you for coming along with us. We hope you stick around for at least 100 more.
Every Night is Game Night, episode 100.
Woohoo!
All right.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Every Night is Game Night, and we have a very, very special episode for you this week. This is Anthony once again with Jason and Liz. Welcome to episode 100.
Yo, my peoples, what's up?
Hey guys, I'm happy to be here again.
All right, so this is the big one, 100 episodes, about 2 years in, almost exactly. I don't remember when I started this because who knows when these things happen.
September. I was there. I remember being in the car for looking through my podcast feed and seeing the table for one, and I think it was like buy Board Games Anonymous or something in iTunes. I'm like, what's this?
Yeah, no, it's funny because I did a short clip for BGA for a few weeks, and it was kind of a pain because I recorded it separately and then sent it to Chris, and he cut it in, and it never sounded right. And I was like, why don't I just make this 10 minutes longer and put it up by myself? And ta-da!
100 episodes later, and we have grown, we have morphed, we've changed the name, we've expanded beyond solo. We don't ignore solo, but we definitely do cover other stuff depending on our interest. We've had guests, we've had this. It's just been really, really awesome to see how people have responded to the show. We've acquired a correspondent who is Liz. Thank you so much for, contributing clips and pointing us to the different awesome games.
That's been awesome.
So I put together the episode, the outline for it, and I just wanted to make this episode about thankfulness. Thank you guys, thank the audience, the people who have responded. Our numbers, our downloads, they go up. They've been going up pretty consistently. They spike for the top 100, so in the top 10. So that is nothing new. But yeah, it's just been really, really awesome ride. So we wanted to do two different things with the episode. The first thing we're going to do is Anthony, Liz, and I have selected games. They're older games, but they're games that we just love. They're important to us. We're basically just kind of thankful that they're in our lives. They always kind of come back over and over again. So no new reviews, just a bunch of stuff that we love. And another thing we're going to do is we're going to hear some clips. We're going to hear some clips from people who have been our guests. And they're, I organize them in different categories. We'll get to that when we get there, but there's been a lot of people. I contacted a lot of people. Some people didn't respond, but that's okay. It's Gen Con, so I totally understand. But the people who did respond and sent in clips, telling us what they're thankful for in the gaming community, talking a little bit about, being on Engn and being excited for us. We'll play some of those, and that'll be our episode. So just, a big celebration, really, really happy. And then we'll cap it off by talking about, kind of taking a retrospective of the entire run of Engn as a whole. We're going to talk about our favorite episodes, talk about, favorite segments or reviews or all that kind of stuff. So please stay tuned for that. Okay, so this is the man, Anthony, right here, who has led us off on this journey when it was Table for One. So I'm going to give him the pole position. He is going to share about a game that he is thankful for, that he plays to this day, hits his table. Anthony, what do you got for us to lead us off?
Okay, yes. I was actually surprised I hadn't talked about this on one of the first episodes, because back then I was just like, what have I played solo? I'm going to talk about all of it. But I hadn't, so here we go. This is actually a game I blew Jason's mind a few weeks ago.
I couldn't believe it.
Nations.
I couldn't believe it.
One of my top solo Euros. I think he was expecting Through the Ages, but I'll be honest, while I love Through the Ages, I think it's a brilliant game. This is the one I played first and still find myself playing most. Even with the app as an option, I keep coming back to Nations. So
yeah, and I forgot that Through the Ages did not have an official solo. I've been playing the unofficial. So It works so well that whatever.
Yeah, it's great either way. It's just I don't know. It just hasn't captured me the way Nations has. So what is Nations, and why do I love it? Let's take a look. This is a game with 4 designers on the title. Rustan and Nina Hawkinson and Einar and Robert Rosen. Big old design team. Came out in 2013 from Lotta Pellet, and it's a card-based Civilization game. So when it first came out, everybody said, isn't this just Through the Ages in a bigger box? And I think it didn't really get a ton of attention because of that. Now, I say that, and it's still in the top, I think, 100, 150 on BGG. So it's definitely gotten respect, and people play it and enjoy it, but it's not one of those games you hear in the top echelon of Civilization building games. If you want a card building one, most people opt for Through the Ages. So let's talk about what this one is and why it's a little bit different. In the game, everyone gets a unique civilization. Simple, same as most. And then every round, you're going to go through 3 basic events. There are 8 rounds. There are 4 different ages, each split into 2 rounds. So you get different cards and different actions and different events for each of those 4 ages, which is pretty cool. And then on your own personal board, you have limited space for cards, and it varies for each civilization. The meat of the game is in the actions, though. You have this big action board, and you can buy cards off of it. And the cards that come out are going to be everything from resource production to war cards to leaders to wonders to colonization cards that just give you immediate bonuses. I already mentioned war cards, one-time achievements that you can pull in. You will keep going as long as you want. If you're playing the solo game, there is a die you're going to roll. It's going to remove some of these cards from the display as you go along. But the basic idea is you purchase things as long as you can afford to do so. You upgrade things, and then you deploy workers. You spend the stone it requires to put your workers on your cards. You hire architects to build your wonders. You use special actions that you have. And you just do this as much as you can during that round until you're done. Then you pass, then you move along. And so, as you can imagine, it's a relatively long game. The full game, you're looking at 3 to 4 hours, similar to Through the Ages. A solo game, 45 minutes minimum. It's around an hour probably, which is pretty lengthy for this type of game if you're sitting and playing by yourself. And the gameplay is pretty much the same. I really, really love this game. It's one of those games that's relatively easy to pick up. I know it sounds complicated, but the rules aren't that heavy compared to some others in this field. But it's exceedingly difficult to master because every civilization plays a little different. There are over 300 cards that could hit that display. I think it's well over 400 actually. Big giant stack.
Love that. I love it. Love it.
You almost always see different cards. I've played this game, 50 times at this point, and sometimes I still see a card that I'm like, have I seen this card before? Probably at this point, but maybe not. But overall, the puzzling aspect, all the different things you get to do, the resource management, staring at all your resources and all the different cards that are out there and all the different options you have and trying to figure out the most efficient way to get where you want to get is just so much fun for me. And it really works well. You combine it with the fact that with the expansion, you have something like 20 plus different nations to choose from. And the dynasty cards that come in the expansion add a little bit of extra to the game. And there's a lot of depth here. The only major drawback I'd give this, if you don't have it and are interested, is it's pretty expensive, MSRP. I think it's $100.
It is expensive.
Yeah.
My God.
You were ready to jump in on that.
No,
Yeah.
I enjoy Nations. I love it. I finally got to play a friend's copy, and it's great. And I was like, I'm going to buy it. And then I went and looked it up. I was like, never mind.
Yeah. Well, here's what you do, though. You put it on your Amazon wish list because at least once every few months, it drops to like $40-something. I think I got mine for $45. I looked it up the other day. And so,
Nice.
and the expansion, which is also overpriced, I think it's like $35 or something ridiculous for a few cards and new civilization sheets. It was on sale for like $15 the other day. So they do go on sale. The markup is clearly quite too high. I don't know what paying for development, I guess. It also comes in this big coffin box for no reason other than that these player sheets are kind of long. If you could figure out a way to fold those, this would all fit into a standard 9x6 game box. It's not a ton of components other than those cards, but it is $100 for some reason. Don't pay that. Even though I think it's amazing, it's one of my favorite Civilization games, period. It's still overpriced for what you're getting out of the box. So take it for what you will. If you find it on discount of some kind, it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, if you're gonna pay $100 for a card game, make it the Seventh Continent where it has 17,000 cards.
Yes. Yeah. No, seriously. You look at these two next to each other, and you're like, "How is Nations $100? Like, who decided this made sense?"
All right, so that was Nations. So that is a game that Anthony is thankful for. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, I'm still blown away, but I have to play it, and I love card games. I love Through the Ages. It's basically a glorified card game. So I'm definitely, and you build wonders. I mean, I love building wonders. I love the pyramids and all the nonsense.
This one is definitely like the most puzzly, I think, of the solo Civ builders. So I think that's probably why I like it the most. But it is definitely a big card game too, so you might like it.
Cool. All right. So, if people who have been following us from the beginning, know that the show kind of changed. So, I mean, other than the name and everything, but before it was Anthony, and then I came on around episode 6 and we kind of been going back and forth, but then it took a little bit of a turn, around December of that year. We invited a gentleman, Kevin Erskine, who runs the top 100 solo games in the One Player Guild. So that kind of opened the road to us, like, making a lot of friends just in the community. These aren't like publishers, these aren't designers or anything like that. This is just a couple of people who we met in the community. They have, through blogs or through Twitter, whatever it is, Facebook. So, let's hear from them and hear what they are thankful about.
All right. Hi, this is Kevin Erskine from the One Player Guild. Happy to share my thoughts on things I like about this whole industry. One thing I love is that you can get to know the people who create the entertainment for you. Like in music and sports, you really can't get to know them. Here, you back a Kickstarter and you talk to the designers and you get to know them and you start backing them, and then you start seeing their company grow. And I love for me, it was with Chip Theory Games. I backed their first Kickstarter that just barely made it. By their third or fourth Kickstarter, they're raking in almost $1 million. And during one of the Kickstarters, they actually even made a chip for me in thanks of helping them promote their games and get people to, get to know the games and see how good they are. And now these guys have quit their jobs and they do this full time. And it's like, I love that. I love that you can feel like you're really part of the whole industry.
Hi guys, Patrick Rail from the Ludica blog here. Thanks for the opportunity to let me share something I like about the board gaming world. Only problem is, I can't narrow it down. Of course, I'm grateful for incredible games, from light social deduction games to elegant Euro games to intense war games, and I'm grateful for the clever people who design them and for the committed publishers who get them to us. I'm thankful for the digital platforms that make playing analog games so easy and fun now, from incredible websites like Board Game Geek to awesome podcasts like Every Night is Game Night. I'm thankful for gamers who are willing to think a little bit more deeply about what it is we're doing when we play games. And I'm particularly grateful for those willing to think about how to make the object of our passion available for a diverse community of gamers. I'm really grateful for the humane, funny, clever people who tend to make up gaming communities. I've never met better people. So thanks, you guys, for all you do for our hobby, and keep up the great work.
Hi, we're Sydney and Sean Bristol from the Solo Board Gamer Group, and we are here to talk about what we are thankful for. Sean?
I'm thankful for my gaming group. After interacting with a lot of people on Facebook, I realized a lot of people don't even have a group. And some people have, the only people they can play with are people they don't really click with, outside of the fact that they share a hobby. But our group is fantastic. I mean, we get along great. Sid?
Yeah, jumping off what he said, our group is really great. And I think that board gaming as a whole has, especially for me, because I'm self-employed and I write romance books. So my community is, as far as my professional life, is very small, and it's a very particular kind of person. So board gaming has opened me up to having friends and relationships in so many different cultures and viewpoints. And I really think that it enriches my life and gets me outside of my bubble. I'm incredibly grateful for that.
All right. Just a little bit of ancient trivia before we get going. Kevin is responsible for our highest rated episodes by a lot, by like 400 listeners, when he graced us with helping us with, through the top 100 solos that we do every year. We're going to do it this year coming. He is also on our highest rated single episode that isn't a top 10 list, which was our Mage Knight deep dive, which I completely attribute to Kevin, not to Mage Knight. I'm kidding. That Mage Knight is a game that a lot of people are excited about, and we were excited to have him on the show. If you are wondering what people are going gaga for when it comes to Mage Knight, that was a good episode to go ahead and go back into the archive and take a listen to that one. But thank you to all the contributors, to Kevin and to Dr. Rail and to Sydney and Sean. Okay, so this next one, I'm gonna jump on this one, and then I'll say, the lady gets the prime spot. She's last, right? So you get the grand entrance at the end. That's how I'm gonna justify it. Yeah. Anyway, so this is a game that I am thankful for. It is another Vlada game. We mentioned Through the Ages in the previous segment. This one is Space Alert. So Space Alert is a game you may not hear about too much, and if you do hear about it, you may hear some wailing and gnashing of teeth. It's one of those games kind of in that Galaxy Trucker, vein, where it's like some people love it and a lot of people don't. They really don't. Evokes very strong reactions. So this is I love it. Oh my God. And this was, just a shout out. This was actually my first real cooperative game. When I was just getting into gaming. Thank you to John Samantov, who is, I believe I'm going to have him on the show for a preview series episode, so I'll look forward to that. He's actually just designed his first game, which is cool. But he introduced this game to me way back in, 2009 or something like that. So Space Alert, just, I don't want to go get too far into the weeds of it, but it is a real-time spaceship game where people are cooperatively moving from different zones on the spaceship. The spaceship has 6 zones. As the game goes, you're going to get invaded. The game has the AI is actually, like a CD. How funny is that, right? The game, it comes with a CD, but you could probably just download the MP3 at this point. What the game does is, as you are moving from sector to sector in your spaceship, you're going to be, firing lasers at the invaders. You're going to be, filling up your energy reserves so that you can actually fire lasers. You're going to be, setting up shields. You're going to be, doing all these actions. And as it's announcing, you're like, oh my God, who's going to take this? Who's going to take this? Really awesome. Really, invites a lot of communication and stuff, between the players. And then the game will, of course, kind of mess with you. Sometimes you can't communicate, so the comms will shut off. You get that sound or whatever it is, and you can't talk and everything. So yeah, really chaotic, really fun. So that's that's the first phase of the game, is this kind of real time talking. What the game is, it's a card game, and the cards represent actions. You don't actually do the actions during that first phase. All you're doing is you're playing your action cards down on this little tableau that you have in front of you, and then it's in the second phase of the game that you actually do the action. So it is programmed movement. I buried the lead on purpose. People don't like that. Is the reason people don't like this game. Not necessarily the real-time aspect, but the real-time plus programming. Because what happens when you have those two things, you can mess up really good. So if you, I don't know, Anthony, I don't know if you're a Space Alert person, or you played it all? You played it?
Yeah, this is 100% not in my zone, but I understand why it's in yours.
And I'm not really programming movement guy.
You just said it though, real time plus programming, and I was just like, ugh.
And I'm not a programming guy at all, but the teamwork is amazing. So you have these moments if you play in the co-op mode where people are pairing up. It's like, okay, me and you, we're going to take out this asteroid, and do you have some energy for me and everything? So you kind of you have different roles and people are taking charge of different stuff. And then, and if you manage to do all that real time stuff and you manage to program your board effectively, you get that cascade of effects. It's like, okay, I did this. And then all the success kind of happens at once. So, and that is such a satisfying feeling. It is so good when it actually happens. And chances are, if it happened, you probably messed up the previous 10 times. So, and your ship went down in a flaming wreck because, you messed up the programming. Oh, I thought you were going to fill up my cannon. And so many cannons get fired off and nobody filled up the energy. And you just kind of, click, and as opposed to shooting and all that stuff. You can play this solo. There is actually quite a hilarious video of Ricky Royal playing this game solo. He plays all 4 characters by himself on the time phase. He does it, but I think the man had a heart attack right after he finished filming. It was overwhelming to watch. I don't know. To play, it's not something that I would do. I would try it just to like have fun with it because I haven't played it in years. Like it's just sitting on my shelf. I can't get a group for it. But oh my god, it is so much fun. When we kind of talked about how that put together this episode, we were like, okay, let's just come up with the games we're thankful for. My mind just like shot to this game. It's like, oh my god, this is so much fun. The coordination is off the charts. Satisfying when you make it happen. Like, you know, think of like the Captain Sonar, if you guys have played Captain Sonar. So like when 4 people are on a string making things happen in real time, it just feels really satisfying. That second phase, you know, with the cascading successes when you do it right. So good. I mean, I just can't say enough about Space Alert. Liz, have you played Space Alert?
I have not. You know, I thought that real-time games would really freak me out, but I did enjoy playing Magic Maze with my game group. Maybe I would like it. I don't know. It might freak me out. I have to find out.
I don't know. It's one of the stressful ones for me. At least. Like, yeah. Like I like some of these newer real-time games that are not so stressful. Like Magic Maze is fun. There's a few others I like Dungeon Time. Like these big ones with a lot going on. I don't know.
Because what happens is, I'm talking about the cascading successes, the failures also cascade. Yeah. So like when you mess up and that despair sets in, when people kind of have known they mess up, like they've lost the trail of when each alien is attacking and when is it supposed to attack, turn 12, turn 13, and then you get, you know, when you get to the second phase with resolution, then 7 people are attacking the alien at once, and then the asteroid is just kind of floating there and you're just watching it because you slowly reveal each card and you have to resolve everything, so you're just like watching yourself fail. It's like very slowly, and that can be a dispiriting, frustrating thing. And if you don't have a good group for it, then you get then you start to blame the players, not the game. And I could totally see why people are skipping over this one. They're so frustrated with it, but when it works, that is what I'm talking about, people. When it works. Anyway, so that is my game that I'm thankful for. That is Space Alert by Vlada Travato and Check Games Edition. Okay, so in terms of like telling the story of Every Night is Game Night, another thing that we did along the way was we made a lot of friends. So Liz is one of those friends. We're going to hear from Liz in a second. People who are content creators in the space, you know, a whole bunch of people, you're going to hear from them right now. And you know, they're people who, like, it's really fun to keep the energy going by talking to people who are also making, you know, videos and audio and stuff, because they're going through the same stuff that we are. Like, how do we produce weekly? How do we, you know, maintain negative comments, you know, or like persist through negative comments? How do we do that third thing? Really fun to be part of this community. So I wanted to include their voices as well. So let's hear some content creators.
Hi, this is Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games, and I want to talk about 3 people who are very, very important to me. Mark Spector, Dave McKenzie, and Mike Henson. These 3 people are the reason why I started Jambalaya Plays Games. When I first started, I was a little nervous. I didn't know what to do. And luckily, these 3 people, 3 different publishers, were really, really kind to me. And Mark Spector was the guy who made me jump over that first hoop to say, hey, man, you can do it. Use your passion. Fuel it. You can do this. Dave McKenzie was one of the first publishers I worked with, and he gave me a review copy, and I was really nervous and weird and worried about my format. He just took a leap of faith on me. And Mike Henson, one of the first people I did a preview for, this guy actually handed me his last prototype, and as a small publisher, that's a big thing. And I'm just thankful for all those people. When I see them, I hug them. I say, thank you so much. They were part of this. And because of that, I am Jambalaya Plays Games. So I always thank the people who helped this get started. Thank you.
Hello, this is Tristan from Board Chitless Podcast and also from Whole or Nothing Productions Limited, where we make games. And I, first of all, want to congratulate ENGN on their 100th episode. That's crazy. We are a baby podcast by comparison to you guys. Thanks for having us on the show when you did. It was lovely to get your support. And what am I thankful for at the moment? I'm going to say the con artists. There's probably a better word for it, but that's the people who organise Essen, UK Games Expo, AirCon, GenCon, and all the conventions that bring people together so that designers and publishers like myself can meet our excellent backers and players of our games in a brilliant gaming environment. Having just got back from Gen Con and being absolutely exhausted but exhilarated by the whole experience, hats off to all the people that get involved and make these things happen. There's loads of other things I'm thankful for as well, but that's the one that comes to mind at the moment. Have a great show, guys. Thanks again for having us on. Bye.
Hey, I'm Peter, and I'm here with Mike. Hey, and we're from Co-op Cast and One Stop Co-op Shop. And happy 100th to Jason and Every Night is Game Night.
Oh, we're so proud of you, buddy. I know how much work that is.
So I'm thankful for Forbidden Island and gaming with my son. For the first time ever this past weekend, he actually got out Forbidden Island while I was still sleeping and set up the game to play by himself. And that is the gift that keeps on giving, that he can entertain himself with a board game. Heck yes.
So I'm thankful for all the games. So starting back with backgammon and Yahtzee, I played with my dad, to poker with my grandmother, to D&D and Samurai Swords with the kids in grade school, to Magic the Gathering, how I met one of my best friends, Sherry, to Battleground Fantasy Warfare, that's how Mike and I met, to Pandemic and Arkham Horror, bringing co-ops to the forefront, to Zombicide, which has gotten my kids into gaming. You know, speaking of kids, that's how I'm going to end mine off too. Without these games, I wouldn't have had some of the most important relationships in my life. So I'm just thankful for games in general.
And we're thankful for Every Night is Game Night. Keep it classy, guys.
Thanks, Jason. Keep it going.
All right. And the most important content creator of all, especially when it comes to Every Night is Game Night, is Elizabeth from the Beyond Solitaire blog. When I first pitched the idea of you joining the show as our Kickstarter correspondent, you jumped right on it, and it's just been a really fun addition.
Yeah, it's been really fun to do.
All right, so you are going to tell us about a game you are thankful about right now, which is Bottom of the Ninth?
No! What's wrong with you? Baseball, no, Bottom of the Ninth is fine. Baseball highlights 2045. So I'm a building status.
I set you up for that one. You just walked right in.
The best part is that's the second time tonight, so it's not even like that was a joke.
Anthony knew what I was going for.
Yeah.
Baseball highlights 2045.
Yes. So I do actually also like Bottom of the Ninth. So no slight on Bottom of the Ninth. But
Sorry,
I just love Baseball Highlights 2045. I don't know what it is about this game. I just like to put like a baseball game on the radio and play it. I like to play it 2-player. I like to play it solo. I just really like this game. It's a baseball game, but even if you don't like baseball, it's really enjoyable. It's set in this futuristic world where people have gotten tired of watching baseball, but the sport revives itself by adding these modified humans, these cyborgs, and then eventually full-on robots. So unmodified humans, cyborgs, and robots are all playing baseball together and forming these crazy teams with like amazing abilities. And, you know, you start with a starter team that's just, it's okay. So, you know, you have a basic starting team. And then as you progress, you are able to purchase new players for your lineup and retire other players, send them back to the minor leagues. And so your team gets better and tighter as you go. And it's always just this tiny deck of 15 cards. And it's a really tense showdown, both when you're playing solo and with another person, because you're looking at your cards and you're thinking, okay, I want to threaten these hits, but what if they play a card that cancels those hits? Or like, oh no, they're threatening me. You know, am I going to be able to like find a card in my deck that can cancel what they are about to hit me with? Oh no. And you're really just in this duel to get the most runs. And the way that it plays out is just so exciting and fun. And I just love it. So in the solo game, you are basically playing against a bunch of random cards from the free agent deck. The free agent deck is the deck that you buy your improved cards from. So you start with a starting team. They start with a free agent deck. And you can go through a couple of buy rounds to kind of improve your team before you go up against them. But, you know, somebody once commented in one of my, you know, praises of this game that, oh, it's the same story every time. You come from behind and you have to deal with this really powerful team. But yes, it's exactly what I like about it. And for randomly drawing cards off of an AI deck, that deck will stymie you a lot more than you think it's going to. It can be really, really challenging to win, even against someone who's not another player who's trying to look at you and stare you down and figure out what you have left in your hand. And, every time I play it, I just get just a feeling of joy. I love baseball. I like baseball highlights. It's just a really nice, quick game that combines deck building and then actually doing a lot with the cards in the deck that you've built.
I have not played this. I haven't.
Really?
You would think that as a card game, and I'm a sports fan, I just never, the actual physical copy, I've never actually had that float into my sphere or whatever, however you put that.
I'm really surprised by that. It seems like a game perfect up your alley. I love this game.
Is there an app for this, or was that the?
There is an app for this. Yeah. Yes.
And is it a good app?
I don't know.
I don't think so. No, I mean, I haven't played it in a long time. I feel like the last time I played it, it had maybe 2 or 3 teams and didn't do a ton. But that might have been a year or two ago at the soonest. So maybe they've updated it since. I got bored with it though. But I love the game. I have a lot of the, I backed the original Kickstarter, and then I picked up sporadic teams and upgrades over the years. So I have no idea how much of the content I have, but enough to enjoy it and play it when I want to play it.
Do you have everything for it, Liz?
Not yet, but that is actually on the eventual buy list. I really like it. It's worth having everything for me. The amount of joy I get out of it, it's time to just bite the bullet and get everything else.
All right, so that was Baseball Highlights 2045, a game that will rocket up my to-play list. Hopefully I'll get that played sooner rather than later. Okay, so the last group of people we are going to hear from, we could not do this show without the people we're about to hear from. They are the designers and the publishers who put out the games that we talk about. We've had a number of them on the show. All the people you're going to hear from have been on the show in one form or another. We thank them for, releasing awesome games. And, as we talked about, we had a bad games episode where we got the stuff out about, games we don't like. For the most part, we try to focus on games that we're really excited about. Either they range from like fine to amazing, And, so these are the people that have provided these games. A lot of them provide review copies for us as well, which is, very much appreciated. We hope that, we do the best that we can by them, promoting the games, but also the best by you guys in terms of, us giving our very honest opinions, about the games. So, let's hear from some designers and publishers who've been on the show before.
Hey guys, this is Evan and
AJ
from Van Ryder Games, and we just wanted to congratulate Every Night is Game Night on their 100th episode. That's incredible. And we are thankful. Well, what are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for this industry and the community involved with it. I've worked in some other industries in the past where super competitive, very cutthroat, but I love how this industry is so supportive, including the podcast, their podcasts and others as well. So thank you guys for what you do. We appreciate you.
Man, I am thankful and excited for just how much growth the industry is experiencing, that we can make great games, but also niche games sometimes, like just real specific, interesting, high quality stuff that then people want to buy. And there are hundreds of other companies making equally cool stuff that everybody wants to buy, and we can all do it together. I think it's just, we're like in the golden...
Time's up.
Hey, I wasn't done. We're in the golden age of gaming, and it's awesome. And that's what I'm thankful for.
Woo!
Congratulations again, guys.
Hey, it's Brady Sadler here with
Adam Sadler.
And we just like to hop in and say a couple things we're thankful for. I'll start so Adam doesn't take mine. I'm going to say I'm thankful for Street Masters backers and fans who've been so vocal and supportive, because it's pretty much changed mine and Adam's career a little bit and our focal points. So thanks to podcasts like this one for featuring it, and anybody who's played the game and enjoyed it and talked about it.
All right, well, mine is kind of related to that. I'm very thankful for the backers of Street Masters and Brook City who put their faith in a new publisher and kind of trusted us with our design abilities to deliver a fun and engaging game for them. And they seem pretty happy with Street Masters, and I hope they're also just as happy with Brook City. And very thankful for the chance to be able to make these cool games.
Hey, guys, Jason and Anthony. Amazing work at getting to 100 episodes. You're ahead of us. Ignacy, we're only at 80.
Yes, but they have a better name for the podcast. Every night is a game night. They have a better number of episodes because 100. Well, congratulations, guys. You are better than us, and we envy you.
We envy you so much. Congratulations on doing such a great job for 100 episodes. And let's hope you do 100 more.
All right. Thank you very much. So I have to do something. So when Stephen Bonacore submitted the clip, he forgot to put the usual intro for Board Games Insider. So let me sneak that in there right now.
Hello. Ignacy Portal Games.
And this is Stephen Bonacore, Stronghold Games.
I cannot hear Ignacy's voice without him saying hello. So I have to get that in there. It's just very like, ooh, hello. I don't know, just it's branded. Maybe it's like branded in my brain. I just have to hear that. So there you go. So thank you guys very much for contributing clips and for the congratulations. That feels really cool. So as the last thing we're going to do is let's just talk about, the show itself. I mean, okay, so I have a bunch of things that I want to say about the show, but let's I'm gushing. I'm like, oh my God. I'll throw it to you guys first. So Anthony, so you've been on since the very beginning, since your brainchild, and you were good enough to kind of let me first come on the show as a guest and then basically, kind of take it over, in terms of the creative side of things. And then you've been kind of, you do like the tech side and you're chipping like Euros, and the stuff that you kind of want to talk about. But like, thinking back over the last 100 episodes, what stands out to you? Like what are some things that are your favorites and maybe people can kind of dive back into the archives and take a listen?
Yeah, man. I mean, I should say thank you to you because I'm pretty sure when I started this episode, the first 4 episodes, I was like, please, somebody join me.
It was at the end, and you would always thinking, hey, if anybody thinks it's a good idea, they can call in. And
yeah. Well, it's a funny thing because, the whole idea of a solo podcast was like, oh, I should do it by myself. But I'd been doing a podcast with BGA for 3 years at that point, and I was used to recording with other people, so it felt weird. And I was like, I don't know if people just want to listen to me talk for 20 minutes. So I still don't know if that's true because you came on so quickly. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been a lot of fun for me, and it's been really great, especially when you did come on because I do love solo games. It's something I'm passionate about. I probably play more solo games than I do anything else just because family and work and life, I don't get to game nights very often. And this podcast has been not only a way for me to express that and share that with people, but to also explore it more and feel more comfortable doing it and not like, oh, I'm that guy who plays solo, all the stereotypes that we've dealt with in the past. And at the same time, I don't think I could have continued doing a solo podcast by myself, just again, because of kids and life and work. So you coming on board made it possible for it to continue and for you to, run with it, all these creative ideas, which has been really, really cool. Ironically, I think some of my most iconic memories of the show are the times that were the most uncomfortable at the time, like waking up at 6 a.m. to record with all of our European friends.
Oh, yeah.
Ignacy Trevicek at 7 a.m. to talk about First Martians, or Luke Hector at 6:30 on Saturday and Sunday because we accidentally screwed up the first recording.
That's right.
And those are some of our better episodes, and people really enjoyed them, and I'm glad because we bled sweat and tears for that. But it's stuff like that. We're getting a chance to interact with other people in the hobby that were just the right confluence of interests kind of overlap. Getting a chance to sit down and run through like all the Oniverse games or all the Pandemic games and kind of do that retrospective of all these different games in this cluster. Anytime I get to talk about heavy games and put you to sleep, it's fun.
I will say this kind of arose organically in terms of the way that we like to review games. Both of us like the longer kind of discussions about games. Like we're always in a fight, in terms of, or always in a struggle in terms of like, okay, how long should our rules explanations be? We're trying to, make those nice and tidy because, that's not the good stuff. The good stuff is the discussion. And we just always naturally have gravitated towards longer discussions. So if you listen to most podcasts and videos, everything, the discussions are kind of short. Like, it's basically impressions. or, you know, they reviewed stuff, but for whatever reasons, they kind of, you know, other podcasts kind of cut the time, you know, keep it to a couple minutes. Like ours are all regular, like, you know, 10 to 12 minutes per game. And I think that, you know, I mean, judging by some of the feedback that we've gotten, people are enjoying that. Like, and I think that we didn't do that on purpose. We didn't like sit there and say, how long should our reviews be? But we love the game so much, and we're both kind of thoughtful about stuff. And I think it's been fun to watch other people come in. So like when Liz would come on and Jeremy would come on and Colin and, you know, all the other people, they kind of gravitate towards that longer discussion and let's talk about really why we like this game or why we are uncomfortable with this mechanic, and not just like breeze over stuff. Liz, I'm not sure if that's kind of something that you've noticed about ENGN, but I've really definitely liked that about how this program has developed.
Yeah, I mean, I actually do remember that. So this is kind of weird. I never expected to be on this podcast with you guys because I used to just listen to it. I was just a normal listener before we found each other online. So I remember walking on the treadmill back when I still bothered with stuff like that in my old apartment gym.
Now it's a coat hanger.
Just, you know, listening to the podcast, and it's always actually been one of my favorites. So I felt like I knew you before we actually started talking because I was like, oh yeah, like they keep me company on my morning commute, you know. And you know, for me, I think what's been really meaningful too is how welcoming you are of people on the show. What's interesting is if you look back, I mean, when was the first episode? Sometime in 2016, right?
Yeah.
July 20 somewhere. I don't know. I'm looking at your feed. So I actually, you know, I started my blog Beyond Solitaire back in like 2016, but I felt like I was talking into the void for a really long time. And, you know, the first time I really felt like I had good contact with other content creators was with you guys. And my world has expanded so much since then. And I've just had so many cool interactions with other solo game enthusiasts because of the friendly and like welcoming network that you guys create.
I'll be totally honest with you guys. There are days when Anthony and I would kind of look at each other. It's like, what have you played? Not much. What have you played?
More often than you think for a weekly podcast. Yeah.
You know? So it's actually like...
Not set aside your sacred game time every day.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes we're playing the same old game. Do you want to hear about Terraforming Mars again? You know? So it's actually helpful to have like an interview because, you know, we kind of get deeper into a game, or to have like a guest on to talk about, you know, some of their games. Like I remember we had Colin from One Stop Co-op Shop on. The reason he came on was because we were going to play Legacy of Dragonholt. And I think, Anthony, you were like missing a book or something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what the problem was. I just could not get it to the table. And it was like it had just been on there, sitting there at the top of the list for months. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we needed help.
So like, yeah, if we need help, you know, we have people we can call on, you know, and to help out. And, you know, there was the one with Julius. Yeah. So like I talked a little smack about Mice and Mystics, and Julius stood up for it. So we, you know, so of course, you know, pull him in, and, you know, we ended up talking about one game, and we talked about Mice and Mystics, but we played that game years ago. You know? And we, you know, make a whole episode of that. So like, you know, it's kind of a happy accident. It helps everything. Like, you know, bringing other voices in, you know, freshens things up. You know, you don't hear the same voices over and over again, except for me. Sorry about that, guys. The perspectives are different, and the games are different, you know, and obviously, you know, I like what developed with Liz and Jeremy. You know, we always have like these crazy weird Kickstarters. You know, I think we just have a very our taste kind of align there. So like, I love how like different institutions have developed. Anthony you know, your heavy games thing, which we have not done that in a while. We need to get back to Anthony Gets Heavy.
Right, time of year. Let's do it.
That's right. Personally, so like my favorite episodes, this is a total personal thing. I've been the game themes that raise issues episodes, the ones we did with Dr. Patrick Rail about colonialism and about Nazism. And then later Liz popped on to talk about religion. In my personal life, guys, I am a very political person. I'm very, you know, into this stuff. Not going to kind of shout out my politics, you know, in particular, but like, I'm just really interested. And whenever I can sneak in kind of the intersection between gaming and some of these political things, I'm going to jump on it. Don't do it too often, because I don't just want to like spout off. I want to have like an interesting person. and I want to respect you guys who just want to hear about games, who just want to have fun. We're about that too. So being able to kind of balance, sneak it in there while still giving you guys what you want has been really cool. I'm just really thankful. Like, to have this podcast, I'm just a gamer, I listened to Anthony for 2 years before I reached out and started the pod. And I mean, I'll tell you guys like a personal story. I know I'm talking a long time, but I'm like really excited. So when like the podcast was going along and, we just kind of like doing our thing, but then I think it was April of 2017, I lost my job, and just got totally, cut off, laid off, and it wasn't one of those like, okay, 2 weeks notice or anything. It's like, no, you're gone, you're out. And, a bunch of us got laid off at the same job. So it wasn't like, personal or anything, but I had no job for like 2 months. And the only thing I had that kept me kind of sane was this podcast, and like in terms of like productive, I mean, of course I have my family and everything, but you spend so much time with your 3-year-old kid, you can go a little crazy. But having this podcast, I invested a lot into it, more guests, going out, finding more games, finding more interesting topics and everything. And then I think that, after like once I got a job again, but we were able to kind of keep the momentum going, there'd be, I'd see like Anthony, would you put up like a topic, like the solo in space was your thing? Like, oh, I've never even realized we could do that. And Liz, you the one that emailed me about doing the religious themes episode. I'd never even heard of 8030 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that is not a good game. I thought you would suggested a good game.
No, hey, sometimes things are good, and then sometimes things are worth playing because they're interesting. It's of cultural interest.
The game itself, though, is kind of a pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's an interesting thing. So, yeah, but the fact that like in that time where I didn't have anything to do, and we got a lot of community feedback, and then obviously later we joined the Dice Tower, which has been good for us. Interacting with a wider group of people. I think. One of the commenters when we had our contest said, they were kind of afraid when we changed the name and we joined the Dice Tower because that we'd kind of leave solo behind. And yes, I on a personal level, I do get a little frustrated when people are like, oh, you're a solo games podcast, I'm going to listen to you. And it's like, no, we're a gaming podcast, that it's like basically like we talk about games that are 1 to 4. We talk about all the games that you're talking about. We talk about all the top games, every top game we've talked about. So the struggle continues, to kind of like bridge that gap, to be for, the solo audience in particular, but to like the wider audience in general as well. So, the pod will always be kind of trying to be about it both. So I think that's it. That's what I'm thankful for. I mean, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about in terms of episode 100 and, looking for the future or things that people should keep in mind?
I'm just really grateful to be a part of this. It's been really just a fun ride and really exciting for me. And so I hope that even though I came on pretty late in the game, I'm still around for episode 200.
You hear that, Anthony?
Yeah.
You hear that? 200 episodes.
You're about to celebrate 200 now.
You're about to celebrate 200 on Board Gamers Anonymous over there.
Yeah, that's true. End of the year. It's coming up.
You got any plans for it?
Not yet, but we got we're 20 away. 180 just went up today, so it's
okay.
But no, I mean, I'm 100% with you, man. It's been really cool, and it's like I'm one of those people, and I've always been like this my entire life, that if I enjoy a thing, I want to create content about it. Whether it's building a website, when I was 12 years old, I built a website about Pokemon because that was what I was obsessed with when I was 12 years old, and it's always been like that, and so. When I first got into board games, it was start a podcast, launch a website. When I first got into solo games, I'm like, how can I produce content about this? But it's gone beyond that. It's like not just creating content, it's becoming part of a larger content community and having these discussions and kind of exploring it in a way that, wouldn't have been possible otherwise. So it's really cool to be part of that. And at the same time, having you on to do a lot of these things that I know that I probably wouldn't have done. I would not have had time to, and have had the energy to do.
Well, you do a whole nother podcast, man. If you guys don't know, BoardGamersAnonymous.com, it's like the flagship of our little family over here. So, I think that we do a decent job of not talking about the same stuff, the same games and everything. So it's worth listening to both.
Yeah, for sure. I think so. I mean, I especially never cover the same game on both because I don't want to talk about it twice. But I did this. Unless it's like really big. I think I did Charterstone on both. But I don't know, it's just a lot of fun to just sit down and have these conversations, and especially to work with somebody like you that's just so on it and just constantly bringing up new ideas and just totally in there and meeting new people and bringing cool new stuff to the show that I'm like, oh, who's on the show this week? Great, that's awesome. Who am I talking to tomorrow? Cool.
It's less work for you.
Yeah, well, it's not even it necessarily. It's just like the opportunities that I wouldn't even necessarily have thought of. I mean, full disclosure, this is what I do for a living is stuff I do marketing on the computer all day. So end of the day, I don't necessarily have all the energy in the world to sit down and go through forums and build, new relationships or interact with people as much as I'd like to. Try to do better at it. Try to be in the Slack groups. Try to be engaged with people. But it's, it's really cool to, be partnered up with somebody who's so engaged and to meet all the great people who engage back. Like, it's such a great community.
Yeah, and we got the Facebook group. I'm not the best at getting that discussions every day and everything, but there every once in a while people kind of post and everything. And I'm trying to be in there responding to people. So please join that Facebook group. The Geek List. Every single episode is on the Geek List. I try to keep that thing updated. Don't look at it right now, but most of the things have entries and everything. So lots of ways to reach out to us. Liz has the Beyond Solitaire blog, and Liz is part of our family. So, you can reach out to Liz. Too specifically, she's starting to reach out to some of her commenters, which are showering her with love.
If you want to talk to me anytime, I'm always down to talk about games. That's the whole point of putting all this stuff out there. We love to hear from people.
I'm going to try to finagle my way to be at PAX. Anthony tries to get to as many cons as possible. I think you'll be at Gen Con, right? Gen Con will happen after or happen before this episode hits, but you'll be there, right?
Yeah. We are recording this a day and a half before I leave. So I am packing after we get off the call.
Packing? Oh, is that what that noise is back
man.
there?
Yeah.
All right. So once again, guys, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for keeping on listening. We're going to keep working at it. We're going to put out weekly stuff until you guys get sick of us. So if you guys get sick of us, hit us up. We'll do something completely different. But if we don't hear that, then we are going to keep on keeping on with Every Night is Game Night.
All right. Awesome. That has been 100 episodes, guys. Thank you to everybody who listens, everybody who's left comments, who's joined any of these communities, who's hit us up on Facebook or Twitter, who has left a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. All that stuff is amazing. It makes us feel great. And we know that we're reaching you and you're engaged with the show, which is awesome. So until next time, that is everything. Let's go ahead and grab a solo game off the shelf and let's make every night game night.
Later, everybody.
Happy gaming.